Hello, and welcome to Ms. PM Reads Christian Content, where we are continuing in our story, All's for the Best by T.S. Arthur. And in our last video, we met Mr. Braxton, and we kind of followed him through his conviction of faith based on a sermon that he attended at a church, and he came to understand that he kind of needed to change his ways in order to get into heaven. So, okay, now we are on chapter 8, giving that doth not impoverish. Okay, some of this is old King James stuff, apparently. Of all the fallacies accepted by men as truths, there is none more wildly prevalent, no more fatal to happiness than that which assumes the measure of possession to be the measure of enjoyment. All over the world, the strife for accumulation goes on. Everyone seeking to increase his flocks and herds, his lands and houses, his gold and merchandise, and ever in the weary, restless, unsatisfied present, tightening with one hand the grasp on worldly goods, and reaching out for new accessions with the other. In dispensation, not in possession, lies the secret of enjoyment. A fact which nature illustrates in 1,000 ways, and to which every man's experience gives affirmation. Very good doctrine for the idle and thrifty, said Mr. Henry Steele, a gentleman of large wealth, in answer to a friend who had advanced the truth we have expressed above. Okay, in Mr. Braxton's case. As good doctrine for them as for you, was the reply. Possession must come before dispensation. It is not the receiver, but the dispenser who gets the higher blessing. The rich man shrugged his shoulders and looked slightly annoyed, as one upon whom a distasteful theme was introduced. I hear that kind of talk every Sunday, he said, almost impatiently, but I know what it is worth. Preaching is as much a business as anything else. And this cant about its being more blessed to give than to receive is a part of the capital in trade of your men of black coats and white ties. I understand it all, Mr. Erwin. Okay, I don't know who Mr. Erwin is. We've got a new character. You talk lighter than is your wont, and so grave a theme, answered the friend. What you speak of as can't, and that's not with a parenthesis, meanings I cannot, it's can't. And the preacher's capital in trade, it is more blessed to give than to receive, are the recorded words of him who never spake as man spake. If his words, must they not be true? Talk about Jesus. Perhaps I did speak lightly, was returned, but indeed, Mr. Erwin, I cannot help feeling that in all these efforts to make rich men believe that their only way to happiness is through a distribution of their estates, a large element of covetousness exists. That may be, but today you are worth over $250,000. I remember when 50,000 all told limited the extent of your possessions, and I think you were happier than I find you today. How was it, my friend? As to that, was the unhesitatingly reply, I had more true enjoyment in life when I was simply a clerk with a salary of $400 a year than I have known at any time since. A remarkable confession, said the friend, yet true, nevertheless. In all these years of strife with fortune, in all these years of unremitted gain, has there been any great and worthy end in your mind? Any purpose beyond the acquirement of wealth? Mr. Steele's brows contracted. He looked at his friend for a moment like one half surprised, and then glanced thoughtfully down at the floor. Gain and only gain, said Mr. Erwin, not your history alone, nor mine alone. It is the history of millions, gathering, but never of free choice, dispensing. Still, under Providence, the dispensation goes on. And what we hoard in due time, another distributes. Men accumulate gold like water in great reservoirs, accumulate it for themselves, and refuse to lay conduits. Often they pour in their gold until the banks fail under excessive pressure, and the rich treasure escapes to flow back among the people. Often secret conduits are laid, and refreshing and fertilizing currents, unknown to the selfish owner, flow steadily out while he toils with renewed and anxious labors to keep the repository full. Oftener, the great magazine of accumulated gold and silver, which he never found time to enjoy, is rifled by others at his death. He was the toiler and the accumulator, the slave who owned only produce. Miners, pearl divers, gold washers are we, my friend, but that we gather, we fail to possess in that true sense of possession, which involves delight and satisfaction. For us, the toil, for others, the benefit. A flattering picture, certainly, was responded by Mr. Steele, with the manner of one on whose mind an unpleasant conviction was forcing itself. Is it not true to the life? Death holds out to us his unwelcome hand, and we must leave all. The key of our treasure house is given to another. Yes. Is he not bound by our will? Said Mr. Steele, as we have ordered. Must he not dispense? Why not dispense with your own hands and with your own eyes see the fruit thereof? Why not, in some small measure, at least prove if it be indeed more blessed to give than to receive? Let us talk plainly to each other. We are friends. I know that in your will is a bequest of $5,000 to a certain charitable institution that, even in its limited way, is doing much good. I speak now of only this single item. In my will, following your example and the suggestion, is a simple bequest of $1,000. You are 45 and I am 47. How long do we expect to live? Okay, this was written quite some time ago. At this point, life expectancy is almost double that, right? Life is uncertain, yet often prolonged to 60, 70, or even 80 years. Take 65 as the mean. Not for 20 years, then, will this institution receive the benefit of your good intention. It costs, I think, about $50 a year to support an orphan child. Only a small number can be taken for want of liberal means. Applicants are refused admission almost every day. $300, the interest on $5,000 at 6%, would pay for 6 children. Take 5 years as the average time each would remain in the institution, and we have 30 poor, neglected little ones taken from the street and educated for usefulness. 30 human souls rescued, it may be, from hell and saved finally in heaven. And all this good might be accomplished before your eyes. You might, if you chose, see it in progress, and comprehending its great significance, experience a degree of pleasure, such as fills the hearts of angels. I have made up my mind what to do. What? Erase the item of $1,000 from my will. What then? Call it $2,000 and invest it at once in the use of this charity. No 20 years shall stand between my purpose and its execution. I will have the satisfaction of knowing that good is done in my lifetime. In this case, at least, I will be my own dispenser. Love of money was a strong element in the heart of Mr. Steele. The richer he grew, the more absorbing became his desire for riches. It was comparatively an easy thing to write out a charitable bequest in a will to give money for good uses when no longer able to hold possession of. But to lessen his valued treasure by taking anything therefrom for others in the present time was a thing the very suggestion of which startled into life a host of opposing reasons. He did not respond immediately, although his heart moved him to utterance. The force of his friend's argument was, however, conclusive. He saw the whole subject in a new light. After a brief but hard struggle within himself, he answered, "And I shall follow in your footsteps, my friend. I never thought of the lost time you mentioned, of the 30 children unblessed by the good act I proposed doing. Can I leave them to vice, to suffering, to crime, and yet be innocent? Will not their souls be required at my hands now that God shows me their condition? I feel the pressure of a responsibility scarcely thought of an hour ago. You have turned the current of my thoughts in a new direction." "And what is better still," answered Mr. Erwin, "your purposes also." "My purposes also," was the reply. A week afterwards, the friends met again. "Ah," said Mr. Erwin, as he took the hand of Mr. Steele, "I see a new light in your face. Something has taken off from your heart that dead, dull weight of which you complained when I was last here. I don't know when I've seen so cheerful an expression on your countenance. Perhaps your eyes were dull before." Mr. Steele's smile was so all-prevailing that it lit up every old wrinkle and care line in his face. "I was at the school yesterday," said Mr. Erwin in a meaning way. "Were you?" The lighter lay stronger on the speaker's countenance. "Yes, a little while after you were there." Mr. Steele took a deep breath, as if his heart had commenced beating more rapidly. "I have not seen a happier man than the superintendent for a score of weeks. If you had invested the $10,000 for his individual benefit, he could not have been half so well pleased. He seems like an excellent man, and one whose heart is in his work," said Mr. Steele. He had already taken in 10 poor little boys and girls on the strength of your liberal donation, 10 children lifted out of want and suffering and placed under Christian guardianship. Just think of it. My heart gave a leap for joy when he told me. It was well done, my friend, well done." "And what of your good purpose, Mr. Erwin?" asked the other. "2 little girls, babes almost," replied Mr. Erwin in a lower voice that almost trembled with feeling, "were brought to me. As I looked at them, the superintendent said, 'I heard of them 2 days ago. Their wretched mother had just died, and in dying had given them to a vicious companion. Hunger, cold, debasement, suffering, crime were in the way before them. And but for your timely aid, I should have had no power to intervene. But you gave the means of rescue, and here they are, innocent as yet, and out of danger from the wolf. In all my life, my friend, there has never been given a moment of sincerer pleasure." For some time, Mr. Steele sat musing. "This is a new experience," he said at length, "something outside of the common order of things. I have made hundreds of investments in my time, but none that paid me so large an interest. A poor speculation, it seemed. You almost dragged me into it, but I see that it will yield unfailing dividends of pleasure. We have turned a leaf in the book of life, his friend made answer, and on the new page which now lies before us, we find it written that in wise dispensation, not in mere getting and hoarding, lies the secret of happiness. The lake must have an outlet and give forth its crystal waters in full measure, if it would keep them pure and wholesome, or, as the Dead Sea, it will be full of bitterness and hold no life in its bosoms. And that is the end of chapter 8. Interesting. Kind of the same story. Well, it kind of did say it played on the story before with Mr. Braxton. Interesting. All good, like, moral to the story stories here. And it's all for the best. So I don't know if this all ties together at the end or if it's just a compilation of little short stories. It seems like each chapter is its own different story with new characters. So we'll see down the road how it ends, if it all comes together or if it's just all separate. Okay. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.